You are listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mach. I'm a general dentist, a practice owner, and a certified life coach. I teach women who own dental practices to lead with intention and literally fall in love with their businesses. Keep listening and you will see how learning to love your practice turns into loving your life too. Hey ladies, it's Dr. Laura Mach again, today to introduce the second of two episodes that are actually somebody else interviewing me. And this is, we're talking about Dr. Sonny Spera of the Fee-for-Service Dentist podcast. And I will link to his show in the show notes, because if you're interested in creating insurance independence or in transitioning into being a fee-for-service practice, he interviews people in the industry who have done this or are working on it. And he just loves people's stories. So if stories interest you and that type of thing, then check it out. This second episode with him, we are revisiting how things are going since I transitioned. A couple things that I want to point out before you listen to this. Well, three things. First of all, it's a long one again. We're both verbose people, so it takes a while. Keep that in mind. Number two, keep in mind that I'm giving good news about how my practice is going in this. Like, I got some really good news right before about my profit since I transitioned. And I just want to say, since then, it has not been a perfect road. And I just want to make that clear, because I don't want somebody to listen to this and be like, wow, well, how come hers is going so well? I've had this problem and this problem. Trust me, I have had plenty of problems in making this transition. And then besides that, just keep in mind, like I said, we really kind of go all over the place. So it's not like a typical interview where I'm keeping somebody on track. We kind of go all over the place, but it's fun. So listen in, enjoy the stories, and reach out to me if you want to chat.
Welcome to the Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast. Dr. Sonny Spera. Today's extra special guest, Dr. Laura Mach. She is a certified dental or certified life coach, and in dentistry, we all could appreciate that. She's going to tell us a little bit about her journey and how it's gone. Remember, last time we spoke, she was going out of network. She had an associate who was still in network. She was out of network and she was in the process. She's then now gone to fully fee-for-service, where she collects up front. Great conversation. You don't want to miss it. Enjoy. Click like, subscribe, share with your friends. Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast is brought by Kettenbach Dental. Kettenbach Dental now has nano hybrid composites that are highly filled at over 80%. It's called Visalis Fill and Visalis Flow. They have two different versions: high polishability, very aesthetic restorative material, and has high durability and strength. It makes this an ideal composite for all your anterior and posterior needs. Comes in a great range of shades from A1 to A4. It's the flex shade system, and also has bleach and opaque shades. Super quick and easy to use. Please reach out. Order yours today. Call Kettenbach 877-532-2123 or hit them up on the web, kettenbach-dental.us. Talk to Dan or any of the great folks there. Find out your rep in your area, and you will speak to a real live living person. Relax, enjoy the episode, folks. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure doing these.
My name is Drew Burns, and I'm a part of a small group of dentists who believe something crazy. We believe that the standard of care is just not good enough. We demand the best of ourselves and the best for our patients. We believe that the best way? No, the only way to practice dentistry is on our own terms. If you ask the dental consultants or the corporate CEOs, they tell you that what we're doing isn't smart, that fee-for-service dentistry is dead, and that the golden age of dentistry is over. Yet, while others focus on profits first, we focus on the patient first. And yet, Our offices are some of the most profitable in the entire country because we invest in ourselves and we are doing things right. It's our name on the door and it's our reputation on the line. My name is Drew Burns and I am a fee-for-service dentist. This is the Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast and these are our stories.
Beautiful. Welcome to the Fee-for-Service Podcast. That's our guest already telling you she's got it. You know she's got it. First of all, she's a delight to talk to. Dr. Laura Mach. She told us her story last time, which was, I am just still blown away by it. So powerful of where she came from, where she got to, and how she did it. And now her wonderful story of, okay, I dropped the insurances. Now the transition from out of network to true fee for service. And for those of you who may not get it, true fee for service is you pay me now, and that will submit the insurance and check goes to you. So you divorce yourself essentially from the insurance carriers completely. So, and a certified life coach, and she's part of a founding member of an International Association of Certified Dental Life Coaches. Her and our other good friend, Dr. Alan Stern, are the two founding members. So we got a rock star in the house, folks. Everybody welcome Dr. Laura Mach. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fabulous. I appreciate you welcoming me in such a flattering way. You're always so sweet to me.
Well, you got the goods. So let's call a spade a spade. You're delightful, and you have there's not many people that have faced adversity like you have, and you come through it like a champ. So if your story doesn't inspire somebody, their heartbeat is artificial. That's all. So
well, I have out of necessity dipped very deeply into the well of wisdom.
Well, right. When your mom's feeding a family by blood sucking and donating her blood to feed a family of multiple children, that's
7. Yes.
That's, that's UC sacrifice. So fill us in. Tell us, let us catch up where we were last as you were getting out of your last networks, right?
Yes. Yeah. The last time you and I talked, I had just finished my transition. I didn't have any more networks that I was in network with. And the other thing that happened basically almost at the exact same time, it was very fortuitous, was that my associate left. And then
because your associate was in network.
Correct. And I was out.
Yeah, I remember. Okay.
Yes. Yep. And then I had 2 hygienists leave at the same time. Yeah, well, almost exactly the same time, same season. Yeah. One of them because her feelings were hurt that so many people left the practice. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if you remember this, but I'm basically the only one in like the whole region of the state, Eastern Iowa. There's 200,000 to 300,000 people in our metro area. And I am the only out of network and fee-for-service dentist that I know of.
The future of fee-for-service dentistry is based in membership patients. If you need help starting your membership plan, or if your plan is too big for your team to manage, visit dentalmembershipdirect.com to set up your free membership growth solution demo with our team.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about fear today.
Yeah.
It took a major climb over the wall of fear for me to stop telling myself they could go anywhere else. They could go anywhere else. That was my line. They can switch to any other dentist and still be in network. And that line stopped me from creating the practice that I wanted for years.
Well, let me ask you this question now that you framed it a little bit, right? Associates out, 2 hygienists leave. Did you say, well, I'm going to downsize, and in downsizing, I'm also going to get rid of the insurance headaches?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was seeing the writing on the wall with the associate. She's a dear, dear person. She really, really is. But it wasn't fitting. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I already have one hygienist switching away from the practice because she had a baby and she wants to be closer to her house. This associate's going bye-bye. We're going to do this now.
Well, wasn't it, because I mentioned it at the time, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it a conflict at least a tension or a little bit of a tug and pull when you have in network, out of network, same roof, same practice, same level of care, close, right? I mean,
Yes.
these schedules, I would assume pretty close.
Well, here's what happened, and it's probably different in every practice. If you try this, and anyone's free to call me and ask how it went. So I was out of network and she was in network.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't because I made her do that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Do you want to drop Delta with me?" She said, "Heck no." So she was in, I was out. And everybody just kind of, if you had Delta Dental, it was like we just shunted them over to the new gal. I taught my team to tell the patients that they had a choice. But the thing is that to properly frame the choice would have been to emphasize that the associate was a new dentist. And I'm over here a Coist grad, among other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't do a good job of communicating that. So basically, my practice got really small while she was seeing all those Delta patients.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
well, yeah, it's almost a mixed message. I get it. It's an easy transition, so your associate can be busy right away because there's now and your practice at the time, was it 70% Delta? It was
yeah,
a significant number, right?
75. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 3 out of 4 patients walk through the door have that. So the 3 out of 4 patients that want to be loyal to their insurance carrier are going to go to. So the new doc is going to be backlogged.
Yeah, she was full all the time. And and you're right, there was a level of care problem there because we'd go, well, do they have Delta? Before we would decide what we were doing with a situation. And so there was tiers of care in our practice, which honestly is bad for continuity, which, as you know, as a seasoned dental practice owner or any business, you need continuity. Your customers need you to be consistent with what you're saying and offering.
Yeah,
it's terrible for marketing to be inconsistent. And it was bad for basically like our identity for ourselves. So we couldn't say to ourselves, we are an out-of-network practice and we offer the very best, because we were still doing things. We were still towing the Delta line.
The Doc Sites provides affordable and effective websites for dentists with no long-term contracts, transparent pricing, and great customer service, starting at only $59 a month. They also provide optional online marketing packages to help increase your online visibility. For special offers, including up to 25% off your website setup, text fee for service to 818-489-9823. 818-489-9823. This is a limited time offer, so text now and lock in your savings, and visit Doc Sites for more information. Yeah, so they're serving 2 masters.
Yeah, we totally were. Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Internal conflict. I can imagine. So if you take the average receptionist, business administration person, and like you said, the hygienist, like I'm hurt, my feelings are hurt, et cetera,
Yes.
et cetera. Yeah, it's hard to have those 2 forces working underneath one roof, one business entity. It's tough.
Yeah.
Okay. So associate leaves, it's time. So now was this the last insurance you had to cut? I mean, obviously it was the biggest insurance cut, but was this the last one you had to cut?
Well, she was in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield as well.
Okay. All right.
So we had to cut both of those.
Before she left or after she left?
Well, I was already out. So as soon as she left, we weren't in network with anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you have conversations with those patients who were still in your practice, but were patients of hers?
Yes. And I will tell you, that most dental practices do it better than we did because she needed to go. So I didn't have 6 months to have conversations with my patients beforehand.
Continuity,
So
you just said.
there was some collateral damage there where patients felt like we had really surprised them. They'd been waiting for their appointment. We got into a rhythm where we call them 2 weeks before. We couldn't call every single patient in the practice during that time because we were trying to keep up, right? So for those 6 months, every now and then we would run into someone who was bitterly disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Which in the people-pleasing business, hard.
It's hard. How much of your identity, how much of your self-confidence comes from other patients saying to you, wow, thank you so much. That was amazing. Or seeing your good Google reviews or whatever. And then it only takes one person to say, you're a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember I swear?
It's so fun. It's so funny. I do, but but be you, please be you. We just talked off air, and we had an associate. She's a rock star. I can't wait for her to join the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, and she'd come and spend a half day with me and half day with my partner, and she was watching. And I said, we're talking about the day that I said, today I had very busy. I probably saw 26 to 28 patients that day. So it was a high number.
Mm-hmm.
And the one patient, and let's say simple numbers. I saw 26 patients, 25 fine, happy, great experiences. The 26th patient, right, is the one. He has a bridge. It was done 8 years ago. It's all porcelain. He had 2 teeth removed, occlusion changes. He fractures off a piece of porcelain. Then the bridge. So that was okay. I said, listen, we'll replace it. I said, I can't do it at no charge, but how about we do it at this amount discount for you?
Mm-hmm.
So he's fine. He's happy. Well, he wants to do it right then. Right. So I'm like, well, I had a 3:00 physical therapy appointment I could not miss. So I was like, okay, I can't get this done in that time. So let's find a time. Let's get him scheduled. So he makes the comment to my assistant, and he already had rubbed a number of people the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And I've known him for quite a long time, grew up with him, a little bit older, and he made the comment, what, he doesn't want to work? And so a couple of people were torqued, and that was the thing that I remembered from the day.
Yeah.
Right? Not the 25 wonderful things. So, and it wasn't even that it was a bad experience. It was just that comment. And the comment is made to do what? Elicit a response, to get under your skin. Now they're happy because they torqued you, right? Mm-hmm. And I just started chuckling as I'm explaining it to her. And I said, hey, look at me. I'm talking about the outlier, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the other 25 success stories.
Yes. And this is something that lives in our heads when we think about going fee for service. Yeah. We imagine the one angry patient who's going to be like, well, you've always waited for my insurance check to come, mm-hmm. And that's all it would take to take the average dentist and crush us.
What's that going to do to your team who you've taught and they look to you?
Yes.
You go down 3 steps, they go down 8.
Yeah. You have to be ready for this. You have to be ready. You have to know exactly who you are and why you're doing this and believe in it and be okay. Give some people permission to dislike you, mm-hmm. to not be your person. And that's
what did you do with your team? How many meetings, how many follow-ups, how many little mini coaching sessions did you have? Because I can't imagine. You said, because there was this really discontinuum period. So we'll say it's 6 months, right? So every day there's someone who's cranky, mm-hmm. and
daily.
How did you handle it? How did
daily.
You how many staff, how many meetings? What'd you do?
Huddles in the morning, huddles at night. Huddle in the morning, cheer, cheer, cheer. Huddle at night. How did everybody do? Does anybody need a debriefing before we go home? What went well?
Really? Mm-hmm. I've never heard of that. You do that commonly?
Yeah.
Every day?
Every day.
Unreal.
I love it.
That's awesome. Now, does everybody work your full shift? Do you have like, does anybody split? Like someone comes in at 10, works to this,
No,
someone
we don't have any
closes, someone
splitting.
opens. No one
Yeah.
closes, no one opens. So you
I've
got,
thought about doing the split, but then I'm like, but what about the huddles? Like, this is how
right.
important the huddles are to me.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge. And if
Yeah,
you work
because
extended hours,
you've lost some continuity.
Yeah.
You've lost some of that consistency that you're trying for.
yeah,
So the hours appeal to people, but do they appeal to the ones who are craving the consistency from you? I don't know. That's a personal question.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's why there's vanilla chocolate and strawberry ice cream, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And we just
Yeah.
kept meeting and kept practicing. We're still practicing our phone skills, still practicing, for example, taking someone who's calling, hey, do you take my insurance? And finding out what's important to them. And then using that to explain to them why they're better off seeing our practice instead of an in-network dentist, right? Just like we're still working on, so we're constantly meeting, constantly working on it. I don't know if I'm ever going to give up on that. So
let me go back to that other point. So your morning day huddles, rah, rah, rah. Your end of the day is now, how do we do? And here comes Joni, and she's like, Mr. Smith today, it just irked me, like he got to me, what happens then? What do you do?
well, my intention would be to build up the team member, reassure them, and send them home. But I can get pulled into it too. You know what I mean? So sometimes we get a little negative, and then I go, oh, I forgot. This is where we say thank you to each other.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So my intention of the evening huddle is to send them off with a thank you and a we did it. High five.
Do you talk about, I don't know if you call it coping mechanisms, or I don't know what the term would be. Do you talk about some techniques? How to turn that smile upside down, how to turn that frown upside down. Do you talk about that? Because now when you talk to that person, everybody else learns.
Yeah, we do. Any coaching, because I'm a life coach, so it drips into the leadership.
Right. Yeah,
right?
it's who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. We do that sort of thing in the morning. The evening huddle is supposed to be very short.
Okay.
Less than 5 minutes.
I could imagine, because and you may or may not have a person who loves to continually not allow a conversation to terminate. Is that a proper way to say that?
In the huddle?
Yeah, or at the end, like just like I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't want to resolve it; they just want to talk about it.
No, everybody wants to go home.
Right. It's a different vibe.
It is. Yeah. And it's part of the culture. Like if somebody new comes, they can see the evening huddle is quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we talk about how much we collected that day and how close they are to their next bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an Invisalign goal. So we look at that too. How many starts did we have today?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a little business meeting, end of day business meeting.
Yeah.
I think Roger Levin calls it daily business meeting. That's the huddle, daily business.
You sure? You could call
Interesting.
it that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, any past experiences though that you'd like to share, like that came from those things that were someone might face?
It's just, so if you go onto my Google reviews now, you'll see 2 or 3, maximum of 4 patients who went on and said, she doesn't take my insurance anymore. That kind of angry thing. But it hit my numbers just a little bit. I was 4.9. Now I'm 4.8 because but we're still mining for new reviews. But the main thing is that I have consistently tried to use my emotions as a cue. So when I start to feel rejected or scared, then I go, okay, Mach, what are you telling yourself? What are you reviewing in your brain right now? And it's usually something like, my practice is going to fail. Like it's fast how it's, your amygdala, the danger part of your brain, it runs to worst case scenarios really quickly. So I just, every time I feel one of those feelings, then I go, where is this coming from? Look at the thought, ask myself, is this something I want to believe? And usually it's not. So I just continuously work on that. And every now and then, like I posted in the Facebook group last week, I get a slice of information that tells me everything is going great.
So let's get to that now. Let's talk about how it's gone. You want to share numbers, whatever you'd like to share to our listeners and our viewers, because we're video now too.
That's right.
Which I didn't say this morning. I should have put my mask on so I can't. That's I get away with that. It's a little longer, like a day longer a week. I go, oh, okay. So
I'm sure your skin loves that.
Let's catch everybody up to date.
Well, this is the initiating event. And I kind of had a feeling, because you know how in your practice, you look in the checking account and there's like a number, like an average number, right? If it gets like 20% below the average number, then you start going, what's wrong? Maybe going up to the front desk and like, have you guys called that lady who needs her bridge, or whatever? And then if it's a 20% above that average number, then you're like, we're in the money. What should I buy? You know what I mean? And I was starting to notice that the number was creeping up in my checking account. And finally got my Q1 stuff off to my accountant. And he always sends me the reports. He's very timely. It's amazing. But this time the report came with personal comments from him. And it was like, hey, I don't know exactly what you're doing, but you doubled your net income for the first quarter.
Now, this is downsizing. We're still downsizing.
Yeah, we're downsized. Well, like it is quiet there. Like literally I had time during that first quarter to make vacation plans, and I ate some bonbons and like talked to my patients more and my team.
So your bottom line, you doubled your bottom line.
I doubled, yes. Mm-hmm.
First quarter.
Yeah.
2023.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Compared to the first quarter of 2022, when I had the associate and the bigger hygiene department.
Mm-hmm.
And all those.
More is less. Less is more. Excuse me. Less is more.
Oh, less is more. Like everybody, on social media, everyone starts talking about EBITDA and like growing their practice. And maybe expanding in the weekends or evenings or whatever, and getting it bigger. Bigger is not necessarily better.
You know how many times I'd like to tell people that? Because I'm a fool, right? I've got multiple offices and et cetera, et cetera. Everybody thinks like that's the goal, like that's the end goal.
Big practice. Yeah.
That is not the end goal. That really is. That wasn't my end goal. I didn't get in there to do this. It happened, I'm going to say organically, and a lot of times it happened out of compassion for a dentist either that was retiring or didn't have a lot of alternatives. And I said, I could be that dentist someday myself. I hope there's somebody like me, that cares about it. So everybody, oh yeah. And like, at what point do you make this? And I've never said it's about making more money. Ever. I've never looked at those numbers. I've never said, well, at this point we're at the break even, because it's just not how the brain works for me. And I just find it fascinating. Like you said, you see that, more, I got to do more. This is it. I got to grow. I got to have multiple locations. No, you don't need multiple locations.
You don't.
You really don't. Mm-mm. So talk about what's the difference? What happened? What is this phenomenal growth while shrinking?
Well, first of all, my expenses went way down. I had 2.5 hygienists. Now I have 1 accelerated hygienist.
Okay.
So she has a daily assistant who's with her all day.
Okay. Just with hygiene or helps out with sterile too?
That assistant will do whatever is necessary. They're all cross-trained and they take turns being the hygiene assistant.
Oh, okay.
By a month. So
how many do you work with?
I have 3 assistants, including the hygiene assistant.
Okay. So 1 provider.
Yep.
And 2 providers, you and the hygienist.
Yep.
That's the perfect ratio, especially if you're doing, comp care.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, crap, what was I answering?
Oh, how did you get all this growth by
Oh,
you said so you
well,
said
and
one
then,
thing that happened was your cost went down. Yeah.
for so many years, I was in network with Delta for my first, I don't know, 14 years of practice. And once I got up to speed, I hit a wall with my income. It did not matter how much I raised the actual fee. It didn't matter because 70% of my patients were never going to give me more. And it didn't matter if my facility was nicer, my education was nicer, my team was better paid. Delta Dental, or all of them, they have their own business model that's about their well-being,
Right.
not to do with my income. So that's the other thing is now every time I do a procedure, I'm getting my full fee. And the other thing, Sonny, and I want to emphasize this for anyone who's new and just kind of getting into it, and they're like, well, what do I do next? While you're gathering your wagons, during those years, I focused on learning how to do things that patients want. So instead of focusing on needs-based dentistry, I started learning things that are fun for patients or that they are interested in for themselves and not just like, you need this. You know what I mean? So it's basically come to fruition now.
Now, with that, has that changed your hygiene protocol?
Yeah, it has, because now we scan every patient with an iTero and then we let them look at it. And they're telling us what's interesting on the scan.
Have you increased your hygiene time per visit?
No, we already had an hour and that's how much we have now.
But you've added an auxiliary.
Yes,
So technically they can spend an hour, 10, 15.
they can. If we get into a long conversation, it doesn't matter. I have 3 rooms, 1 hygienist, and the assistant. So
Mhm.
for hygiene.
Yeah, it's a philosophical game changer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because what's the priority? The priority here is patient care.
Yeah.
And
And
that drives the bus.
every day we practice asking open-ended questions to our patients. What would this be like? How do you feel about this? Why is now the time? And when you start having conversations like that, because you're not just like scrape, 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 bye, then you really get into more comprehensive care. And that's more profitable.
Well, I think just take the whole unit. So how many people you have at your business office?
2.
So 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So 2, 5, 6. No, wait, 2, 5, 7. So there's 7 of you typically.
Including me. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one boat and everybody's oar is going east to west.
Correct.
It's a totally different vibe.
Oh, then before?
Yeah.
I mean, I was managing chaos. I'm embarrassed, but I was. It's fine. I was working on it. It was
Right. But you had a
not
mindset.
easy.
You knew you knew your destination.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I love it. So you reduced your costs. You talk a little bit about that reduction in cost. Did you lose a front desk person as well, another business person, or no?
Nope.
So you're talking you're down 2 hygienists. So you went from a staff of 10, counting the associate.
Correct.
Was there another assistant with the associate?
No.
Okay, so associate, 2 hygienists are now gone.
Yeah.
So probably I got to ask you weren't making any money off your associate.
No, I was supplementing that.
You were losing. Yeah.
I was definitely losing money on that.
So that's the interesting part. Now, if you look at, we're hiring associates, and now just like hygiene, just like all the other staff, that's going to go up. What's the expectation? Signing bonus, transportation, all these other things. Who's paying the tab?
You have to make sure that associate is ready to grind it out.
It's funny because it doesn't, like, my folks, like, the money doesn't grow on trees, and
Yeah.
in essence, what comes in the door, what gets left to pay at the front desk is what we exist on.
Mm-hmm.
And now if that dollar bill is left there is insurance ABC's patient, 50%, 50 cents on that dollar walks out the door because it's not in the insurance check.
Yeah.
That's very, very real. What happened to your overhead? Did you have an idea what that went from?
No. I'm the opposite of that guy that you interviewed with the spreadsheets. All I know is that my number in my checking account keeps creeping up.
Well, if he told you your net doubled, I guarantee your overhead.
Yeah, I'm sure.
How about on the other side? Did your gross collection and production go up, like your monthlies?
My production did not go up, but my collection did.
Okay. So your production as a
Mhm.
solo doc.
My production as a doc went up once the associate left, because then those Delta patients, they had to decide, are they going to go elsewhere, or are they going to stick with their gal that they've had all these years? And a lot of them stuck with me, enough of them.
Gotcha.
Mhm. And
Okay.
you know what? We still get new Delta patients,
Mm-hmm.
which is so fascinating to me. But they're patients who are looking for something specific that we have.
Mm-hmm. And there's a fee for that.
Yeah.
So your production went up. Did your office production probably didn't, because two hygiene producers and an associate producer, there's production there.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have, give us a glimpse of what those numbers would look like?
So we used to write off, about 30% of our Delta fees.
Okay.
So a typical month, we might have produced 160, maybe
Okay.
170 on a good month. But, our collection would be 125, 130, something like that.
Were you the lion's share of the producer though?
I
Probably when all said and done, because
maybe,
there's no write-off. So now if 160 becomes 120, maybe your 70 production stayed 70.
mhm. Yeah. I don't know exactly how to answer that question, but I know that we're bringing in more money now, even though we're down producers, but it's because nobody is saying, oh, you can't charge that much.
Okay, so you're 120 then. Are you 120 now, or are you down to 100 now? Maybe up. So the 120 now is actually up.
Yeah,
So you're doing more with less.
probably.
You know,
And
you have,
the team is so happy.
yeah. Well,
They
it's clear.
love it.
There's clarity everywhere they look. There's clarity,
Yes.
clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, clarity of mission, everything.
Mhm. And anyone who was seeing me as a commodity, any of those patients who were just there out of convenience,
Mhm.
they left. And what stayed behind is a full concentration of people who love us.
Mhm.
And so, like, the patient behavior is excellent. There's so many thank yous. There's so many hugs. There's so many, well, what do you think, doc? You know what I mean?
It's what's funny is sometimes people say the people that stay will sometimes not be either who you want or who you expect. So the person who always has a high spot on their tooth,
Oh, yeah, I have some of those.
they stay, and the woman who you can put it in their one tooth contacts in their mouth, and they're like, everything feels great.
Right.
They're gone.
Yeah, that's true. They are people who know what they want.
It's fun.
But they're
So
very grateful and respectful, which is amazing.
okay, so your net went to double in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
You got any projections, or what are you looking at?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm
It
just
just
having
happened, right?
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you talk about new patients? Have you seen so many of these other key performance indicators everybody talks about, KPIs? Have you seen any of those other ones go up, go down?
Our new patient flow is still at capacity. I can only see 3 new patient exams a week because I only work Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays now.
Sure.
So every day we have a new patient block and it's filled.
And your new patient block is for a complete exam, x-ray,
Yes.
photos, the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's
Scan.
not, listen, my tooth is killing me. You got to take the tooth out. That's not,
They can come in too. That's just, they're not coming in the new patient block. They're coming in through emergency, which is fine as well.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and do you have a grip on your new patient emergencies? How many are like those maybe one or two timers that come in for their problem, and then how many are these? So if you're going 3 per week, the average number, that's 12,
Uh-huh.
right? On a
Yeah.
full week, again, simple math, 3 times 4,
Good
12.
job.
Like that?
Mhm.
I'll be here all day. So then you add in some of these other ones. So is your new patients around 20 a month, 15 a month? Any idea?
I think it's probably closer to 15, especially because I take off 8 weeks a year. So if you
Uh-huh.
averaged it out,
Sure.
it's probably closer to 15.
So that's great.
Mhm.
So the well's getting filled.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
But yeah, we're just having a good time and
So
grinding out.
what are some of the fears? Let's talk. We're going to hit on the fears.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
about
Let's talk
some of the
about
fears.
peers. So this slowed me down for so long. And now it's so easy for me to see it when like a client or a friend will be just like, well, I just can't. And I'm like, okay. So why can't you? Are you bound by some contract that makes you stay? And they're like, well, no, okay, well, did you run out of money? Oh, no, I didn't run out of money, and like you go through the list, and the only fact that they can come up with that's we can all agree on is that they own a dental practice. The rest of it is a story that we're telling ourselves. There's probably people listening to this right now that are telling themselves stories about why they can't do it yet.
Mhm.
And it was so useful for me to be able to see finally that I was telling myself a story and that it was fine if everybody left. If everybody left, I'd stay at home and weed the corn patch.
Yeah, remember you referred to that. You said you talked about the pandemic
Yes,
being like, I'm fine.
I'm
I'm
fine.
fine. That's the
I'm
message.
sitting at home. So if every single person leaves the practice, I'll start over. And yeah, I'll have to call the bank. But I've been doing this for long enough. I think the bank will work with me, you know? And that's worst case scenario. Um, an exercise in looking at the worst case scenario is very helpful for mitigating fear because you go, oh, yeah, well, I guess that would be okay if that bad thing happened. I'd be fine. So, like, would I still have a place to lay my head? Would I still be in a warm place? Would I still have food? Would I still have a flushing toilet? Would my children and my family still love me? Yes. And I would be practicing dentistry the way I want instead of the way the insurance company wanted me to do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What do you think everybody's afraid of? Like, I know what I was afraid of, but you talk to a lot of dentists who want to be
Yeah.
fee for service. What do they say?
I tell you, the biggest fear is I can't do it without it. Like I can't. I think now again, this is a gross summary, or a gross not summary. This is a gross extrapolation.
Mm-hmm.
Guess. This is a wag. This is a wild ass guess. That it's a fear that again, every people won't come. I don't obviously we're in this self-esteem business where we have low self-esteem and we only take again 25 positive patients. I'm going to hit on the one negative, and I consider myself a positive person. So that beats on people and that beats on their mentality. And some people just don't want that conflict, don't want to do that. And just the fear of change, period, is another factor.
Yeah.
But even like, I'll give you a perfect example. I spoke to the dental school. I spoke to third year dental students. So D3 is what the term is now.
Like recently you talked to them?
Yeah, about a
Okay.
month, right? And I knew some of their questions, and the way when I talk to them, I have a few slides, but it's predominantly I'm here, I'm outside the Beltway. Please use me as a resource. Ask me any questions that you may have. And once the conversation goes, it goes anywhere. It goes where it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I am going to put an example up. So I put an example up for a doctor who could do 1 crown. And I said, if you can do this in a morning of a day, you let me know. If you can't, 1 crown, 2 fillings, 1 extraction, and you see 4 hygiene patients, do 4 hygiene exams. Could you do that in a half a day as a dental student? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we agree on that. No debate. Okay. Now let's look at the fee schedules of a fee for service practice, and let's look at a PPO practice. Okay. And when we figured it out, the fee for service person was going to make about $900 for that morning, and the PPO patient was going to make around $400. I said,
You mean
okay.
like take home
Yeah. Like the net.
after your expenses.
Right. This is your 30%. I think we use 35% of, so here's your gross number collection wise. Here's what you're going to take home. Now, if you need to make $1,000 a day for your nut, and that's based on, I think it was based on, you have to make 200 grand a year, work 200 days a year. I got to do $1,000 a day. So at the end of the day, I'm paying $1,000 in debt service to cover, or 100,000 to cover, a 300,000 or 400,000. I did some quick math. So I said, okay, so you can see that's a half a day now. You need to do 1,000. You can do a little more on the PPO, and you can get there with that. That doesn't exclude it. Doesn't mean you can't do that. And then you have this on this, right? So sure enough, when it's all done, then we're going on. Another kid raised his hand and says, so I know the first 2 years I graduate, I'm gonna have to work for a DSO. And I said, did you miss what I just talked about? Like, what happened here? I said, no, the answer to that is no. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can work in a PPO practice. You can work in a private fee for service, or a full fee practice, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that. We just proved that. Like, you don't have to. Like, it's not your it's almost like, this is my destiny. So what do I do after that? And I was like, geez, it's unfortunate because there's this brainwashing and
Mm-hmm.
systematic breakdown of a lot of the younger the dentists to be, that this is what we have to do. And I don't know if it's the money, if it's the influence, it's the how it's being done. We all can make guesses at it, but it's happening and it's real.
So playing off of that, there's like these assumptions that we make of what's true. And I'm
Right.
using air quotes for anyone who's listening right now. And these assumptions become things like, I can't go fee for service because I'm the only one in the county. Or I have to work for a DSO first because that's what you do.
Right.
These things, these are beliefs that spread through our industry, like cancer or toe fungus, right? And
Yeah.
you
Or bad
don't
rash.
have to practice that way.
No.
You can if you want to, but you have so many other options. And a lot of our beliefs that spread through, like cancer, like that, have to do with, well, I can't find my own patients on my own. I need the insurance companies to send me patients who need care.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it boils down to, isn't it?
It is. And it's funny because Ben talked about that. He says that's a marketing expense, right? So by you signing up, that 40% you take off of your bill is your cost for them to send patients to you. Is the juice worth the squeeze, is what it's worth, right?
Is the juice worth the squeeze? Can you
That's
name our podcast episode that, please?
I'm sorry, I use a lot of these expressions. I'm sorry. That's just how I grew up.
That's great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So what do you see? What are some of the fear things that what are some of the fear things that you yourself encountered as you went on this journey?
Okay, well, let's go back to any human's desire to be a part of a tribe.
Well, that's the reason to stay in the network, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So I was thinking in my mind, Well, I can't have people not like me. I can't have people be disappointed in me. I'm their dentist.
Right.
And I want to be liked. I want to be able to picture them being so impressed with me and so loyal to me. I don't want to have to picture them going, well, I guess we need a new dentist. You know what I mean? And so those are like handcuffs tied with someone's desire to be loved and admired.
Which a ton of dentists do.
Yeah.
Tons. Yeah.
We went into this profession because we wanted to be helpful.
Mhm.
So we start picturing moves that we would make that would improve our careers, but that other people wouldn't approve of. Then we go, well, that's bad for my tribe. That's not the words they use, but that's bad for my reputation. I can't have people complaining about me. I can't have a bad review, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, just give them their money back. Just you did nothing wrong. Your standard of care was top notch. Everything was fine. Patient had either sensitivity or just it wasn't what they wanted, whatever, for whatever reason. I can't make you happy. There's nothing that we did wrong. We're okay.
Yeah.
Nope. Here's your money back. Like it's immediately like apology, which is hard. And because now the review comes in and people are so afraid of being, quote, bullied, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
On these situations, and it's a low self-esteem issue.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one.
But it's also the tribe belonging to the tribe. So go ahead.
I have 10 people who work for me, and my practice can't get smaller because I'll have to lay people off. I hear that one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like, well, Susie's been working for me for 5 years. She's been very loyal. What happens if my practice gets so small that I have to let somebody go? I think that's a common fear. I've grown this practice. I have associates. I have this. I have that. So not talking about the financial, because we've already talked about money, but that idea that we have created jobs for people and we worry that maybe we would have to take those jobs away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear that?
I can't say that I've specifically heard that, but I feel you. I definitely feel that. Like when we had an associate leave, what do we do? Because we're ramped up for this, and so we lessen the burden. We not lessen the burden. We enhance the burden upon ourselves to reduce the burden on them, so they don't have to worry about feeding their family or what have you. That's a responsibility that we take seriously. We had a flood one year, and we had to shut an office down. And what we did was we ramped up one office that wasn't flooded, and we went from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and everybody worked different shifts. And we took an entire office and shifted it in there so no one lost out. And I told them our responsibility is those patients and to you. And you go through a traumatic event like that, and you build a lot of working capital and emotional capital with your team, and you are who you are. It's like just who we are. And so it's like, okay, another challenge comes up. What do you think we're going to do? What's our past record? So it's nice to have those victories in your bank account, but they may not have been with us at the time. But like, what's funny is a lot of them are.
Yeah. And so what you're talking about is like this loyalty to our employees is valuable to the practice, but somebody could use it as a story for why they can't go fee for service.
But that's the fear of shrinkage, really.
Yeah, it is. It's the fear of contraction. And I'm over here going, guys, I contracted.
Yeah.
I didn't fire anybody. Everybody walked away because they wanted to.
So, but the question is though, when did you? But you were on track to move in that direction. Was the associate telling you, "Listen, I'm leaving"? What were the steps that transpired that led up to the contraction? Essentially, we'll call it.
The first thing that happened was one of the 3 hygienists came to me and said, "I'm having a baby and I've been offered a job closer to home."
Okay.
And then I was like, crap. Because I can never replace her ever, like right now, right? It's post-pandemic trying to find a hygienist. And then I go, okay, well, maybe now is the time. Then my consultant came and visited, and she was like, Laura, where is this practice going? You're here, we're all over the place, right?
Right. So you need some clarity. You needed clarity then.
Yeah. And she asked me questions about my associate, and every time I answered the question, she'd go,
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is not what you meant to create, right? So then I said to the associate, we're going fee for service. Do you want to join us? No, I don't. And then the last one left, like I said, because her feelings got hurt. And I can't blame her for that. She just couldn't stand seeing all these patients she'd been taking care of for 15 years leave the practice. So she wanted a fresh start. That's how it happened. But going back to that fear of, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can let somebody go. Luckily, right now, if that's the fear that's stopping you, rest assured that that person will find a job so easily.
Right.
Somewhere else. There are
True.
dental jobs to be had everywhere.
That's a really good point that we all, because we're on the one on the help wanted ads looking, not the one seeking, so
yeah,
it's a good point.
Yeah, tables have turned. You don't need to feel obliged. Like you were not, here's the other thing. You didn't go into dental school and do all this work and go into debt simply so that you could employ these 10 or 12 people, right? They're helping you, but they're not your why. Your why is over here. It's creating, it's serving, it's all those things, right? So if there's someone who is truly not on your bus and your practice shrinks, I don't know, you might have to invite them to find a new opportunity, but there's no dental practice that employs 10 women for 30 years. It just doesn't happen. So stop expecting yourself to carry that unrealistic standard.
I want to say that one more time. Stop worrying and carrying an unrealistic standard. Because that actually hits me.
Yeah.
True story. Yeah. Because, we had a hygienist just tell us that she's been with us 12 years. She decided she's going to go to work for the new community clinic, which is opening down the street. And, and it's the same day that we got the other great news. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I worked with her today, and it's like, she didn't look me in the eye. She wouldn't really talk to me. It was awkward, et cetera, et cetera. So, in the end, they're not going to be with you forever. As much as you pour your heart and soul into them, like her back was hurting. So I personally bought her a inversion table. I delivered it to her house. I said, try this. It's kind of like you do those little things, right? And you remember them. And so, part of you is like, she gave me 2 weeks notice. She's been 12 years and that's it. That's the consideration. So there's that, right? You play that game with yourself. But in the end, if you can remember what you just said.
It was her time to move on. Sometimes people need a fresh start.
And the thing is, she's not even sure she's making the right decision. That's where I feel bad for her because I think she's making a wrong decision. So I can't share that though. So
being a hygienist is a tough career.
It is
really tough.
It is. I think I could equate like hygiene and pharmacy are kind of similar. You graduate with most of your skills and your entry level and your experience level don't often vary tremendously. Although we do know that there is a learning curve with the practice and the philosophy.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say to someone, there a lot of the services are similar. It's tough. It's a tough road. I mean, where do you go from there? Like there's not
right. If they want to branch out,
there's not vertical moves per se.
Yeah. Let's say they want to start practicing hygiene in a different way.
Right.
Well, that's going to depend on the cooperation of their employer.
Right.
Because they don't have so much autonomy that we have.
I mean, you could add to your skill set, do more perio, diagnose, get
Mhm.
involved in doing more on the ortho side, especially,
Yeah.
your in either your clear retainer type
Yeah.
of cases or what have you. Bleaching services, laser, there's that, but it's still typically in the hygiene department. Yeah,
I thought of one more fear I want to share before I have to go.
please do. Floor is yours.
I am not a good enough dentist to be doing fee for service. I'm too average. Do you see that one?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Well, I also think there's a little bit of a potential arrogance, like, well, I am this, I am better than that. And I never felt like that for myself. I think I'm above average dentist. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think I care about the product that goes out to the nth degree, and I will do anything within my human power that makes it as best as I can deliver it. But
Mm-hmm.
I know that, there are others that have bigger, broader skill sets, can do stuff, post cases, do all on X, and make it look like, you name it. And I know that, there's just some people that don't, but you got to be comfortable in your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, yeah, I'm pretty confident of the product that we deliver, but I don't ever think that I'm, this great dentist.
Well, I will tell you, as someone who has spoken to scores of women dentists, just the women, but the men's probably the same. Most of them are ashamed of their clinical skills. They don't realize it a lot of times, but they compare themselves. They do the compare and despair game.
Yeah.
They see the clinical cases that get shown off on social media. They
Yeah.
go to classes and they see the amazing things. And meanwhile, they're like sitting lower and lower and lower in the chair. You know what I mean? And so we as an industry, we have to build each other up and we have to continue to push the education, and encourage these dentists to get good at what they enjoy. Like, okay, so they don't feel like they are right now. What do we need to do to get to the part where you are worthy to be a fee-for-service dentist? Or what do we need to do? What thought habits do we need to find in your brain where you're still telling yourself you suck, even though you actually don't?
Well, see, now that I buy that.
Yeah.
I'm fully on board with that. The other part of it is almost like I have to be a thief. To me, I think you have to understand your value and your worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it's a self-esteem. I think it's a value thing. I don't think, like I said, I'm not going to say my skills are quote unquote higher echelon, but I'm very confident in what we provide. I'm very proud of it. And I like to see it come back in hygiene and look at it. And I'm not going to say I step back off the scaffolding and fall over patting myself on the back, but I do take a pride in, hey, that looks good. We did that.
Yeah.
And so I do think I thoroughly 1000% agree with you. We don't have enough pluses or perks or cheerleaders or support system that are reaffirming the fact that you are doing good work.
Yes.
Because we are seeing that 1 in a million anterior crown number 8 match number 9, and you expect you can do that every single time. 1 in a million, right? Now, this is not Dumb and Dumber. This is like, so you say I still got a chance. No, this is
still a chance.
this is not that. This is saying that's 1 in a million. Don't pretend that gets done every day.
Yeah.
But you can't help it. And that's the part that gets me, because also on the posts and on the things, there's no disclaimers. It's out there. And then now you have, well, you did this wrong, and what about that? And that's not right. And now you have every little nitpicker. I mean, go post something on dental clinical pearls and just buckle up, That's I mean, I posted something as simple as a DO filling, and there's clear decay. And my point was, listen, the X-ray didn't show much, but look what really was there.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have filled that. there's clear decay. You see that. Well, you're not cutting teeth anymore. No, I'm like, okay, well, we're practicing different dentistry then,
Yeah.
and it's just like, whoa, it gets you. And if you have shaky self-esteem, you're going to go down.
It's not going to be fun either.
It's a bad path.
It's a very in fact, if there's anybody right now listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. Will you please call me? Because not only is it stealing your joy, but it's hurting your bottom line too. Because when you don't feel good about it, you don't suggest to help other patients. You dumb down your treatment plans.
So say that again. When you feel something you don't suggest.
You feel ashamed of your clinical skills, you dumb down your treatment plans.
Dumb down your treatment plans.
Yeah.
You don't tell a person you need a crown because you're worried about them saying, I don't need a crown.
Yeah. Or how about offering 3? I have to do 1. What about the other 2? Should we just do them all at once?
Yeah.
Someone who's ashamed of themselves, don't say that.
Right.
They just do the 1, and then they do the 1 crown a year club with their patients, right?
I'll tell you what, I can attest to that other statement, and I've been practicing 34 years, that there are times when I'm like, I know the tooth should have a crown at the long-term result, but I'm going to kind of read the patient, if you will, and I am, for whatever reason, I'm going to not suggest, or I'm not going to have that conversation about best level care. I'm going to just talk about mid-level care and present it.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm going to drive a Chevy. You're not going to sell me a Cadillac, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're just talking about transportation. And you can have do you want it durable? Do you want it long-term? Do you want to visit me often?
Yeah.
Had that conversation today, new patient. So
yeah. I put it in the patient's hands. I'm like, well, there's 3 over here. Do you want to do it 3 separate times? Spread out the cost? Or do you want to decrease the number of times I have to poke you? I don't say exactly that, but
you don't have to. 3 times you have to get numb. And the patient says, I got to get stabbed 3 times, right? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I let them decide.
Yeah. Or, it gets worse. It might need a root canal. Oh, a root canal.
Yeah.
Motivation.
Yeah.
So this is great. Keep doing what you're doing. Any last things you want to share about what's going on in the practice?
I think that's everything. Yeah. Check out my podcast, Love Your Practice. If you're listening to this and you're loving it, I have 80 episodes over there.
Please check her out. I love her. I love you practice. I'll be your fan club. I love you, Laura.
I'm going to add that into your little list of things, silly things you said.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Hopefully folks got something. I know they will. I know I got a couple things where there was I don't know if it was a light bulb. Did it pop over my head? But there was. Yeah.
Your eyes went.
Yeah. Like bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for listening to the Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast. If you would like to share your fee-for-service story, please fill out our contact form at ffsdentistry.com. Also, be sure to join our Fee-for-Service Dentistry Facebook group. For help starting your dental membership plan, visit dentalmembershipdirect.com and membershipmastercourse.com. Finally, for help with in-house financing, visit dentalfinancingdirect.com. And don't forget, your story is what you make of it. This is your name on the door and your reputation on the line. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mach. I would love to meet you. To join our movement, find the Facebook group called Love Your Practice and request to join. If you can't find it, just send me a message and I'll add ya. You'll find me there helping all of my ladies to fall in love with their businesses and have a better life.